Welcome to Scoop World Order. It's a big Tuesday show, and we got a big old boy committed to Ohio State football. Tywan Malone is a guy that we were excited about 2 years ago. He ends up going to Ole Miss, made a mistake, corrected his mistake, and joined the Ohio State Buckeyes today. He is a big dude, a big guy, a big position need at nose guard. Super excited about this one. We're going to break his film down. We're going to take your questions. We're going to see where he fits into the rotation. So, as you guys know, we love to bring you guys the goods, so we appreciate you guys tuning in. As always, thank you guys for subscribing. Thank you guys for liking this content. Click that like button, click subscribe, click the little bell so you guys get alerted when we go live. We love doing these live shows. We love the comments, the feedback. This is going to be a huge show today. Appreciate you guys. A lot of offers went out last night. We're going to talk about those. But again, thank you guys as always. Shout out where you guys are from. We got all over the country, all over the world, India, Japan, Florida, Ohio, California, just everywhere. So love that stuff. So shout out where you're from. Hit that like button. Send this to your friends because your friends will probably enjoy it. Because again, this has been a fantastic growth spurt for us. It's all thanks to you guys. So that being said, I'm going to bring in resident Scoop nose guard, nose tackle, Nevadabuck. Nevada, how are you tonight?
You know, I'm a little depressed. Pork Pie died in Chimp Empire, man. He got jumped by those Western chimps, and it was horrible, man. Like, I don't know, why did he leave the pack? Why did he go off by himself? I don't understand it.
It was like Ned Stark dying in the first season of Game of Thrones, and that was Sean Bean, and he was like the lead character, the first guy on the credits. Yeah. So Nevada got us all on Buckeye Scoop to watch this Chimp Empire show on Netflix. Check it out. Pretty interesting stuff, but Pork Pie, who is my favorite character, gets jumped and killed. This is actually like a true whatever documentary. These guys hang out in the forest and video this stuff. But long live Pork Pie. Our own resident Pork Pie, Tywan Malone, has committed, resurrected from the dead of Ole Miss, the Ole Miss Rebel football program. Nevada, kid out of Bergen Catholic. He's a hoss, 6'4", 330-ish, listed at 305. If he's 305, then I'm Gandhi. What do you take out of getting this kid out of Ole Miss? A kid that wanted to be a baseball player, wanted to be a two-sport guy. Now he's down to one sport. Now he's just down to football. And he's at a real position of need for Ohio State. But what do you make out of adding Tywan Malone to the Buckeyes this year?
Well, like you said, I think you hit the nail right on the head. Him deciding to drop baseball and become football only is huge. It's huge for his development. I think it's, the list of kids that have played top level football and top level, baseball, it's so small I'm not sure I can remember one. So it's impossibly hard to do that, especially in these days and times. He's football only. Second kid we've got out of Ole Miss, in this portal season, a kid that was, highly regarded coming out of high school. And, for Ohio State, trying to get one of these big hosses, even though he's out of Bergen Catholic in New Jersey, went down to Ole Miss. He's those guys that we play against every year and say, how can we not get guys like that? Well, we just got one of them. And what I like best about it is Ohio State needed to make an NIL move, made the NIL move very quickly, got it, but he's not just about NIL. It was just to be sufficient enough to justify making a move like this. They did it, they got it, and I think it's a great. At worst, it's a depth piece. At best, you develop into something special. So for Ohio State, good day all around. Another good day by Ryan Day and Pantoni and the staff there in terms of how they're accessing the portal, how they're using the portal to their advantage. And like eighth portal kid we've gotten in this transfer season, which is again unprecedented for Ohio State. So good day all the way around.
Yeah, it's amazing watching this film. The first play, he's split out. It's hard to see because we've got our little Nevadabuck bar there, so it covers it up. But he is a big hoss, man. I'm excited about him. Again, these are the kind of guys that we haven't had great luck with. Most of the body types like this are in the South. This is a kid from Jersey, which I think helped us. I think Dave Sinig-Benosa coming here, massive help, just because, these guys, they all talk to each other. Hey, what's Ohio State like? What's Ohio State like? What are the coaches like? What's everything like? And Davison, took to this place like a shark in the water, and he just crushed it in the winter, in winter conditioning, and in the spring. So that doesn't hurt us. So here he is, big hoss. Again, this is pretty good competition. This is about as high level Jersey football as you get, but he's a big old load playing nose guard here. this is the kind of guy that you want working in with Mike Hall. Mike Hall's likely our starting nose guard. You got Ty Hamilton, you got Ty Leak at the 3. This kid could play the 3 too, but I mean, he just looks like a big nose guard, big wide body. He hits the, I don't know what this is. Is this like the Harley Davidson or something? Maybe, I don't know.
No, I think this is it's the kicking in the door thing.
No, he's kicking. It's like a chopper because he's got the handlebar thing going here. So it's like, I think it's some sort of chopper thing. That's what the kids say. It's like NLE chopper. So it could be something like that. Here he is at 3 technique. Again, he just, he's a moose. Like, look at him. He just crushes this right guard has no chance. Late with the hands, big moose gets going on him, pushes him back into the backfield. And, again, those are the kind of guys that you need to beat the big dogs, to beat the Georgias, the Bamas. Like, this is the kind of guy that if you put him in a Georgia Bulldog jersey, he'd look like he fits in. It's kind of like I used to say that about DeJuan. Like, if you put DeJuan in a Georgia Bulldog right tackle jersey, like you'd be like, yeah, that's about right. Or Alabama, DJ Fluker kind of body. These are the kind of guys that we need. The fact that we don't need him to step in and be a full-time starter right away is huge because we have it's a position where the top line guys are a strength, but you need depth on the D line, man. Guys get hurt. I mean, Mike Hall, if we didn't add this kid, and Mike Hall injures a shoulder again this year, then all of a sudden, where are you? You're down to 2 D tackles, maybe 3 D tackles. So it's a position where we really needed to get a body like this. Nevada, talk a little bit about, we've had an incredible run in the portal. I mean, you get, Josh Simmons, you had him, you had Davison, you had Jihad Carter. Talk a little bit about like this run that we've been on. It's impressive. I think that our NIL stuff with the foundation has been good. But talk a little bit about this run we've been on.
Well, I think what you're recognizing is kind of a recalibration of efforts by Ohio State. And what Ohio State has made a concerted effort now they are not going after the NIL only kids. And, they know who those kids are. They identify those kids pretty early in the process, whether they be the recruiting process or the transfer process. And the kids that are just about the NIL, they just scratch off the list. They just don't go after them. And now, they're focusing on the kids that are, obviously with a keen eye towards development, towards, NFL riches and, long-term play, but that also, of course, are going to have some NIL requirements. And what I think it's allowed Ohio State to do is really kind of laser focus their efforts a lot better in the portal, and you're seeing the immediate results of that. And so instead of going after 15 kids that they have no chance to get, they're focusing on 3 or 4 that they've got a much better chance to get, and their hit rate. Look at those 3 kids they run in last week. And got all 3. Simmons, yeah. Styles, and Malone. It's like now we knew Styles was done before he set foot on the campus, but that's good, and that's different than what we've seen at Ohio State. So I think one of our core beliefs here on our podcast, on our website, is we try to make all the listeners smarter fans, better fans, know the little insights about what's really going on, not just the spin, and not just recognize that this is a change in Ohio State's recruiting philosophy, and it's a change that's immediately bearing fruit. So good for Ohio State. I'm the first one to point out stuff when I don't think Ohio State does it right. Well, in this case, I think they're doing it right. They're doing a great job, and they've definitely strengthened the roster from 2022 to 2023, and my hat goes off to them. Great job.
Yeah, and again, like a kid like this, through 2 years at Ole Miss, very little production, about 12 tackles. He had a sack, I think, in the bowl game. But, when you're a kid like this and you're 2 years into your career, and you see guys that were in your same recruiting class and their potential first-round picks after this next year that could be 3 and out, and your career hasn't really gotten off the ground, I think it makes you shift gears from being a kid who chased the bag. Obviously, if you go to Ole Miss from New Jersey, you're probably getting paid by somebody. If it's not an NIL deal, then it's some donor. But, you look at it, you're like, well, I got this little stack of money, but, my career hasn't gone the way I wanted it to go. I'm not really getting off the ground. I go to Ohio State and I could be a part of a really, really, probably, on paper, the best D-line in the country. I mean, I don't know who I'd take over Jack Sawyer, JT Tuimoloau, Mike Hall, Ty Leak. I mean, Todd McShay in his first 2024 draft, which, those things are always kind of just, something that, they're just kind of for comic relief. But he had 2 of those guys in the first round. He had JT and Mike Hall in the first round. So, I mean, Ty Lee could just as easily have been in there. Jack Sawyer. Well, actually, no, Jack Sawyer was in there as well. So, I mean, you had 3 guys in the first round on the D line with JT. He had Jack going mid-round to the Broncos. So, when you're this kid and you're like, well, I could jump in with these guys. I'm not going to have to be the guy. I'm going to be singled up a lot because everyone's going to be worried about stopping JT and Mike Hall and these other guys. So, I think after, you look up after 2 years and you're not where you want to be, you're not developing at the rate you want to be, why not go work with Larry Johnson for a year or two and see what you can do, see how you can develop. I think that this is a year where he could be a really good depth piece and get into the rotation heavily. And then, the following year, he's a starter. And if he has a big year, he's out. He's going to go pro and go play in the league. So, again, I love the kid's film. I was rewinding his flat back coming off the ball, knocking guys back. Again, I don't know what his conditioning is like. Again, we watch a lot of high school tape just because, for a guy like this that barely played at Ole Miss, like, it's not even worth looking up his, 50 plays that he played last year. It's better just to watch. This is what, we saw when we really wanted him a couple years ago. This is the kid that Larry Johnson and Jim Knowles want him to get back to being. So he's on that trajectory to being a first-round pick defensive tackle. And it looks like he's got the ability to do it. Again, I think that when you're a kid that's this body type, unless you're just an absolute phenom of a baseball player, I think it's a mistake to try to play 2 sports in college because it's just so hard. There's a lot of guys that try to do it. Like Julius Peppers played basketball at North Carolina, but he was clearly like a Hall of Fame level football player and just kind of a guy on the basketball court. He played and he was good, but he wasn't going to be, Tim Duncan or anything. So I think when these guys get to college, it's better just to specialize, take care of your body. It's less of a grind, less of a travel grind, easier to help you, get through workouts and school and all that. Because, when you're in the off season, it is nice to have an off season, like especially in football when you get all beat up and tired. It's nice to be able to go home after workouts and chill for a little bit and let your body heal up. So, but yeah, I love this kid's film. I think he's going to be a sensational guy. Nevada, just like off the top of your head, what kind of projections do you have for a kid like this? And really, we can walk down the transfer portal guys. Let's just start with Davison. I mean, Davison's the guy that I think you and I are both equally the highest on of the transfer portal ads. What kind of projection do you have for the transfer portal guys? And let's walk down the line and start with Davison.
Well, Davison, to me, if he's not the next great cornerback at Ohio State, then something's wrong. And, you hate to hang a moniker like that on a kid before he's played it down there. And invariably that leads to a little bit of disappointment because it's hard to live up to it. But, he's really good. He was a freshman All-American last year in the SEC. And since he set foot on the campus at Ohio State, you can just tell he's a different kind of athlete. And all the guys on the defense know it. All the guys in the defensive backs room know it. The defensive staff knows it. So, for him, he's as good as he wants to be. Could he be Jeff Okudah or could he be, pick a line, Denzel Ward, pick a line, be a cornerback, and he's right there with them. And no reason he can't be as good as any of them by the time he leaves there.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's the guy that ends up starting across from Denzel Burke. I know that Jordan Hancock will have something to say about that. I just think Davison's got more ability. I think he's a guy that he's got a certain amount of dog to him. He's a ferocious competitor. And again, the guys I talked to in the program love him, and they say he's been a great ad. That's always the big thing is how do these new guys, act? And honestly, I think it's kind of overblown because like it kind of is. Your college football, it's like being in the NFL locker room now. Like in the NFL, people don't realize like in the preseason, like in the summer, during training camp, during the season, there's always guys coming in and joining the team, and there's guys getting cut. So, and there's guys that get traded. So there's always like this kind of churn of new guys coming into the roster. And it's just kind of trickled down into college football now where these guys that are on the portal, they're at Ole Miss 2 months ago, and now they're Buckeyes. And it's, and I don't think that, most of these guys, unless they're complete morons, they just want to fit in. Most of these kids are pretty much the same. They like to chill, they like to play Call of Duty, they like to work out, they all want to go to the league, they all want to take care of their family. So, there's a lot of, things that line up. I think that it's easier at a position like defensive line or corner where you kind of rotate guys and there's more guys playing than as opposed to maybe a quarterback where the relationships might be a little more frosty inside that room, or offensive line where there's really only one guy that starts at right tackle. But, on the D line, like if I'm the starting nose guard and I get a really good nose guard behind me and we can rotate and I can take some plays off, on the sideline and not worry about us getting gashed, like I would welcome that personally, because I think that, the strength of your D line is the depth. I think it's great to have a Chase Young and a Nick Bosa. Obviously, those are the pillars of your team. But, even those guys, if you watch them in the NFL, Nick Bosa doesn't play every snap. I mean, he's rotating in just like everybody else is, because, it's a long season and you want to keep these guys fresh. And the fresher they are, the more productive they are. The more productive they are, the better the defense is. So, I think that, controlling that drop-off level is so huge on the defense. And adding a kid like this to come in behind Mike Hall if they play him at nose, or behind Ty Lake if they play him at 3 technique, is just such a huge benefit to Ohio State's defense, especially as the season continues to get longer and longer and longer. They had the Big Ten championship, another round of the playoffs. The portal and the way Ryan Day is utilizing the portal is going to be so huge in terms of adding not only key starters, but key depth guys, at positions where you rotate, like running back, receiver, D-line, not so much linebacker, because you only play 2, but that's why I'm excited to get this guy, because we really needed this guy. We really needed another D lineman that's experienced. He's a 3rd-year guy, and again, his career hasn't gotten off the ground for whatever reason at Ole Miss. But I think that with the opportunity and the available playing time, I think this kid could really take off. I think that in terms of Lorenzo Salles Jr., I don't think either of us are expecting much this year as he converts from receiver to corner. Are you in agreement with that, Nevada, as he switches positions this year?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's a potential depth piece. He's a potential special teams contributor. Do I expect him to step right into the starting lineup with the 2 deep? I don't. Do I think he could be there in a year? I do. So no, I think our expectations are relatively modest for him. Although I've always felt that cornerback was the position he needed to play. Cornerback was his best position. Dynamic body type that can get it done there. And I think him moving from wide receiver to cornerback was the perfect tonic for his career. And I think he'll do well at Ohio State.
Yeah, it was. It wasn't surprising us. I mean, we kind of had that thing from Jump Street that he was coming, but again, it's always good to nail that one. I think that it's cool that the Styles brothers get to play together again at Ohio State. I'm sure that he probably wished he had came to Ohio State in the first place, but he wanted to play receiver. Brian Hartline didn't have much use for him as a receiver, so it'll be interesting to see what he does. Jahad Carter's a guy I have modest expectations for. Again, he missed a lot of spring with an injury, so I assume you're in agreement on that one as well. And as we break these guys down, I think that Davison's the guy that we're the highest on right at this moment. But, and Josh Simmons is a guy that I think could step in and play right tackle for us. He started last year. He's raw as can be, but he's got some talent. And, again, I'm all about adding more pieces to the puzzle when it comes to competition, because whoever ends up winning the right tackle spot will be, a good player. I don't know if he'll be a great player, but he'll be a good player, and he'll be, good enough to help us win and beat Michigan and win a national championship. So, again, will they be as good as Pearson Dewan? Probably not, but they can be good enough to win a national title. When we played the Florida Gators in 2006, neither of their tackles got drafted. None of their offensive linemen got drafted, and they put it to us. So there's ways to get it done. You don't need 5 Orlando Paces, as great as it would be. If you've got good scheme and good skill, like it can overcome a lot in terms of the offensive line. Oh, we got a Massillon, Ohio. What's up, Massillon? We got people from all over the place in here. But yeah, we had another offer yesterday. Brian Hartline is that going absolutely crazy. Andrew Marsh, Katy, Texas, home of Ashton Yabodi, is a new speed demon that Brian Hartline has his sights on. He offered him, has great hair, obviously, but he is a 6 foot, 168 guy. I'm going to get his film on here. Nevada, can we have enough of these 5-star receivers? Because I don't think we can. Brian Hartline doesn't think we can.
No, I mean, we talked about this ad nauseum, but wide receiver position is so overpowered in college football, and you just can't have enough of these guys. And what I like about this guy is, I mean, he's pure speed. I mean, he can run, and you get him out there. They're lucky enough to get him out there in the on the field to go with these other guys. It is going to be fun to watch. If you like high-powered offense, if you like throwing the ball all over the place, if you like just going over the top, this is a guy for you because he can do it all.
Yeah, and he's a guy. He's not obviously there. He gets a nice high point. This guy can get out and go. And again, like Brian Hartline, we lost a couple of receivers to the portal, so Brian Hartline's got a few more bullets in the chamber to go out and offer some kids. You got J.J. Smith. You've got a pretty robust 2025 class, but he probably wants to get 4 or 5 of these guys because these guys are really, at the rate that these guys are going pro and transferring out, you almost have to take 4 receivers every year because you got to anticipate some guys are really talented and they're just not quite talented enough to beat out Carnell Tate, Brandon Ennis, J.J. Smith. So they go to Auburn, they go to Iowa, like a couple of these guys did. And then you got your guys that are 3 and out pro guys. So, I think Brian's in a unique circumstance where he probably always has to take 4 receivers and just, it just is going to sort itself out by way of attrition. And we might lose some more guys in once fall camp starts. It's just one of those things that I was surprised that they offered another receiver, but I really wasn't because, these guys know what's going on in the program. Again, here's a little tunnel screen to the crib. Again, this guy can fly. Katy, Texas has got great talent. Again, Ashton Yabodi was from down there. A guy that was one of the first, really, really great Texas guys that I played with. Him and Schlegs were, I think, our 2 big Texas guys that we had. But, with Jackson Smith and Jigba and some of these guys that we've been pulling out of there, I mean, it's been lucrative to go down there. And Brian's obviously, he's the guy that all these receivers want to play for. I love these little tunnel screens. These are so easy. And does he take this to the crib too? Like this is so fun because it's literally like a 3-yard completion. Like if you look where the sticks are, I mean, this is a 3-yard completion. And then, you get some blocking and then the speed just kind of takes over. You split the safeties, stiff arm a tackle and you're in the end zone. So you can see why Brian Hartline would be excited about this guy. He's got jets. Here he is, just middle of the field. They just completely forget about him. But once he gets it, man, he's gone. He's going to the crib. And like I said, this is going to be a guy that who knows where he fits into the thing. But we've got some real speed coming in 2025 with the guys Hartline's bringing in. So super excited about this guy. But yeah, I wanted to run his film. Any particular NFL or former Ohio State guys he reminds you of Nevada?
It reminds me a little bit of the Santonio Holmes, which I know a player you're very familiar with, and you can't get much higher praise than that. But that's first time I watched him, I was thinking Santonio, and I just love kids that play at a high level of football. And as you mentioned, Katy High School doesn't get much better, much more big time than that down in Texas, and he dominates. So he's a kid that'll just fits the profile of the kid that'll come and dominate at the college level and under Hartline's tutelage, being another great line. But as you mentioned, Brian's almost got to recruit 3 or 4 every year. He's kind of a victim of his own success because he's going to have so many guys leaving early, guys just kind of coming in. It's going to be a revolving door. And so, we're going to be on Brian and say, hey, you got to recruit more guys because you're so successful, camping in the league. I mean, Brian's probably going to have 20 draft choices here in the first, 6-7 years. And that's amazing to think about.
Yeah. Like I said, in that room where you've got 3 receivers that start generally on most formations, and then you rotate maybe 5 or 6 in the game. If you're 7, 8, 9 at Ohio State, there's a good chance you're probably 1, 2, or 3 at 90% of the colleges, 95% of the colleges. So, for some of these guys that are, thinking that they might wait their turn might never come, because when you see, you go turn on some J.J. Smith highlight films, you're not going to beat that guy out. You're not going to beat Tate out. You're not going to beat Ennis out. I mean, I think Carnell Tate, we should change his nickname to Portal just because, like, when he showed up and balled out the way he did in the spring, 2 guys immediately hit the portal. They're just like, yeah, we're not beating that dude out. And then, I mean, if you put a gun to my head, I'm putting Carnell Tate at Z this year and playing him with the big 2 with Emeka and with Marvin Harrison. And that's our best 3 receivers. I don't think that there's any question about it. But the seniority will keep Julian Fleming in the role, I'm sure. But if you go pure skill, pure talent, pure threat to just being like your most dominant trio, I think it's those 3. And then I think you put Ennis in the slot, and away you go. So it's going to be interesting to see how that shakes out, how these reps shake out. But yeah, I love watching this. I love watching some of this film. You know what? We got some great questions, and Odysseus, this is so true. So he has a question. We'll take some questions right here. He says we need a D tackle that can stop Michigan's running game, and I totally agree. I mean, you must have tuned in Neil Harris, the 411 dudes. I love when you say that. That's my favorite. But yeah, when we play the clip of Teron Vincent getting jacked up and tossed out of his gap, that's part of the problem. When guys can't hold their gap because they're not good enough, they're not strong enough, then it makes it hard to play defense. So adding guys like this, again, this is kind of the tonic with Jim Knowles. When you say you got to put 8 or 9 bodies in the box and load it up to stop because our D tackles couldn't hold up, I agree. Because when you've got big, monstrous, hard to block defensive tackles, you don't need to commit as much to the run because, those guys, they're going to take up two blockers or they're going to wreck your running game by themselves. And that's kind of where we need to get back to. We need to get back to, I know in 14 we had Joey Bosa, but I mean, we had Mike Bennett and Adolphus Washington who were really good on the inside. Those are 2 draft picks and 2 guys that, frankly, I thought should have had better NFL careers. I'm surprised they didn't last longer in the league, but those guys are really, really good players and super athletic players. So those are the kind of guys we need to get back to on the interior, and then plus it up a little bit because we need to get those high round guys going again. Yeah, I don't know. We're getting a lot of Teron Vincent stuff in here today. Well, is Teron ranked so high? I don't know. I mean, it's coming out of high school. Some guys are ranked high. But yeah, this is a good little run that we're on right now with these recruiting, with these portal kids. Nevada, you've been the driver and the commander of the Jim Knowles bandwagon. How are you feeling now that we've added some of these extra defensive pieces that we didn't have when you took over as the commander of the Jim Knowles bandwagon? Then you add a really nice defensive tackle piece, and Davison Igbinosun. How are you feeling right now as we're a few months out from the season starting?
Well, I'm excited. Obviously, Malone, Styles are guys that are going to help down the road. Davison's a guy that's going to help right away. Jahad Carter, I think he's a guy that could have helped right away given our safety situation. But the injuries really kind of set him back a little bit, so we'll have to see about his development. But no, I couldn't be more bullish. I mean, I've gone back and watched a lot of tape on Ohio State in terms of the we had about 9 big plays last year that really kind of set the defense back, and I think that people really think about. And 9 plays out of 1,000 snaps, and you go back and you break those things down, and you can see where the problems aren't structural. The problems were just individual indecision, individuals making a bad choice, whatever it might be. But we weren't out schemed very often last year, and I really think the defense is going to take a huge step forward. And after I've been able to do film review, I'm more convinced than ever. And like I said, adding pieces like this just helped. Adding Davison was absolutely gigantic. I think we would have been really good before Davison. I think Davison, you hate to put too much on one kid, but having an elite corner like that allows your defense to do a lot of different things. And I think that took us from really good to borderline great.
Yeah, I totally agree. Take a couple questions. Yeah, Eric, this is a great point where you talk about, and I really don't understand this, but for whatever reason, we play Mike Hall at nose, and he's a light guy. He's 280, ripped up guy, but they like playing him at nose, and he seems like he'd be a natural 3 technique. If you put a gun to my head, you'd think you put Ty Leak, who's 340 pounds, at nose, and put Mike Hall, the quicker, more faster guy, at the pass rushing spot. But they actually flip it for whatever reason. Ty Leak's been more of a 3 technique, and Mike's been more of a nose guard. So again, that doesn't really make sense to me. Like I said, I would flip those 2, but Larry Johnson, he likes to do it. And when you see Mike Hall line up at nose, he's not there to just be a big sponge who, absorbs blockers like in the traditional big fat Gilbert Brown nose guard type. Like, this is like a guy that he loves to get after the center, loves to go after his snap hand in his initial pass rush move and his initial run block move. And, but he is light, because usually if you're a nose, you're between the guard and the center. So you're almost guaranteed to get double teamed. So you usually want one of your big hosses in there at nose, which is why they call it a nose guard. And that's why, the traditional nose guard is like a guy like Vita Vea from the Buccaneers who weighs like 350 and he's hard to move, So when you got a guy who's 280 in there, usually easier to move, even if he's a weight room monster like Mike is, like just the lack of total weight, it makes it easier to launch him out of there. So, but they like playing him at nose. Ed Oliver, again, was, the prototype light nose when Houston had him and they played him at nose. So, again, it's interesting. Jesse, this is a great one. This is one of the most underrated kids in program history. Davon Hamilton just signed a $45 million extension with the Jaguars. We got Ty Hamilton, though, and Ty looks fantastic. Like I saw him recently and he looks like a WWF wrestler. He's got massive arms. He's been putting in a lot of work in the weight room with Mick. I'm hoping, and honestly, you put a gun to my head. I think he's the starter week 1. I think he starts with Mike Hall or he starts with Ty Leak, but for whatever reason, like he's one of the guys that they trust him more than Ty Leak, I feel like, and I just say that by snap counts and looking at who plays when and whatever. And, part of playing football at a place like Ohio State is the coaches have to trust you. You can have all the natural ability in the world and all the upside and all the potential and all the mock drafts and all that, but do they really trust you to play you significant minutes? And that was something that was an issue last year because our guys, they didn't trust our young guys. That's why they were playing Jerron Cage, who didn't get drafted. That's why they're playing Teron Vincent 50 plays a game, didn't even sign a free agent contract. So, I think that these guys got to earn Larry Johnson's trust. And I think Mike Hall was dinged up. But I think Ty Leak's got, this has to be the year for Ty Leak. There's no more being young. There's no more immaturity. It's time for him to step up and be a dog like we know he can be, like he's shown in flashes, like when he had 6 sacks as a freshman. So he's got to go find that form again and do it in the big games when it matters. Yeah, I agree. I think Mike is Aaron Donald. There's no easier comparison. Obviously, I don't like comparing anybody to Aaron Donald because Aaron Donald's probably the best 3 technique that's ever lived. But, that's kind of what they are. They're swolled up weight room dudes that are explosive, and they're not traditional 3 techniques. I never played with a guy that was like Aaron Donald. I never played with a guy that was like Mike Hall at Ohio State or in the NFL. So it'll be interesting to see if they utilize him like that and he has that similar level of production. Nevada, what do you think of our D tackle rotation right now? Who would you play where if you had to pick?
Well, I think you got it right. I think Ty Hamilton's a guy. We talk about Davon Hamilton being one of the most underrated players at Ohio State, and Ty's could climb that list this year. I don't think people are talking about Ty Hamilton. I think you and I are 2 of the only people on the internet that are talking about Ty Hamilton. But yeah, I agree. I think he's probably the most sure starter of anybody. If you were calling, on the interior defensive line and said, place your bets on who's going to be a starter of the defensive line, he's my chalk for the favorite. And I think he's had a tremendous off season. Had a great spring. Ohio State coaches love the kid, and I think he's a guy that's got to be in there. And with Mike's got to become a little bit more consistent, a little bit more responsible, and a little bit more gap sound. And Ty Leak's got to improve his condition and be able to go more than 2 plays at a time. And if we can get that type of production, we saw what happened last year with Georgia, with Jalen Carter, big monster. And I know you like him, and I know he blew up DeWan in the last play and everything. But boy, man, when he started gassing, he looked. He sometimes he would just stand there. He would just stand there with his hand on his hips, and Ty Leak doesn't get to that point. But Ohio State's got to get more of that explosive Ty Leak out of him, and the guy that's got that double-digit sack ability from the inside, which is rare, and he certainly possesses it.
Yeah, I agree. Like I think that he's got the ability, and again, it's with some of these guys, it's just about conditioning. These guys can play hard for a play. They can play into blocks. I'm just looking for maybe a spring game clip or 2. God, CJ Hicks is good. I'm just watching the first few plays to see if I can find some good Mike Hall and some good Ty Hamilton stuff. But I think it's just funny when you look at what these guys can really do when they really do.
But do not show spring game stuff, because that means our offensive line sucks, and that means we're gonna have to have a whole nother podcast calming people down about the offensive line. So you can't do not show any spring game clips.
Oh, I might just show one. I like watching these guys because, I mean, you see Tyleek, like when Tyleek goes, man, he's a load, man. And these guys, you know, it's something where you watch him, and you know, if he could do that more often, he'd be All-American. If not, I mean, he'd easily be All Big Ten, but he just has to figure out a way to not go to neutral as much. You know, that's like his biggest problem, is that he just turns it down. And like even Hero Canoe looked like he was flashing. And again, like a guy like Tyler Malone, I mean, that should put, you know, some spark into Hero. Cause I mean, literally this guy's coming to take Hero snaps, and Hero wants to be in the rotation this year. He was standing around redshirted last year. So, you know, it's going to be pretty fantastic watching how this all works out. But yeah, like I said, Tyleek, like when Tyleek wants to go, man, he is a load. But again, it's just what motivates him and what's going to make him actually go hard all the time. You know, because when he wants to go, and when you've got Hamilton and you've got him next to each other, I mean, that sucks to block on the interior. Like when you're Justin Fry and you're these O-line guys, man, and you got those two big 320-pound dudes in there, like that sucks. Just being honest, because I've been in that situation, and you know, it's easier. Like Mike Hall is a guy who's explosive and quick, but man, when you get those two big guys in there, it is tough sledding. So I'm just looking for a clip. I mean, because here we go. See, Tyleek, he takes this play off, and like I'm not even going to show this one because it's embarrassing, but you know, he just doesn't have the wherewithal to just go hard all the time. Like his motor just turns down, and part of it is in this game they're not tackling, so there's not a lot of live, you know, full gear reps. But you know, when he wants to go, he is an absolute pain to go against. And so is Mike Hall. Like Mike Hall is a guy that I think just can take off. He was hurt last year, but it is what it is. In the chat, who do you guys think can break out on this defense? Because this defense there's a lot of breakout potential for Jack Sawyer, a lot of breakout potential for Mike Hall. You know, Tyleek just, you know, if he could ever get his motor running hot all the time, he'd be unbelievable. But he takes too many plays off. That's his biggest issue. It always has been. But who are you guys looking for, just in terms of who could break out? Like Sonny Styles is a guy that's all over it. Yeah, but this is standard Mike Hall right here. I'm gonna put a Mike Hall on because I love Mike Hall. So Mike loves to attack the snap hand, and it is just like, this is something that, you know, again, he works this all the time. You know, and Carson Hinsman, you know, didn't play last year, and Mike's, you know, maybe one of the best hands guys in the league, but you know, he comes after, you know, when he sets over here and kind of overcompensates to cover up Mike comes back up the other way. And you see him with his two hands swipe that snap hand, you know, and, you know, thankfully there's a little play action fake where the running back literally runs into him. But otherwise, I mean, this is what he likes to do. And this is why you play an undersized guy at nose guard, because most of the time, you know, like I said, you put your big guy at nose guard, you put your little guy at 3 technique. But he loves doing this. This is his favorite move. Because again, these centers, they know that he's quick to shoot this gap. And he'll alternate. It's not like he does this move every time. You know, when you think he's about to attack this, he'll come back this way. But the way he attacks Carson Hinsman's hands, like this is what we need out of him. You know, and you see you got, but you know, Tyleek, you know, with Tyleek on a pass rush situation like this, I mean, 2nd and 10, he could be bringing it a little bit more here. So he just kind of stands up, makes it easy. You know, I mean, but again, our tackles do good here. Like Jack gets locked up. This is Tigre right here at right tackle. So this is good by Tigre versus Jack. Again, Jack was projected as a 1st-round pick. You know, you got Josh Fryer versus JT at the top. You know, and this is kind of what you got to do. Like, I think that this is a good pass protection. When I talk about helping the offensive line and making it easy, put a tight end here on the shoulder of the, you know, because that messes with JT's takeoff. You know, he's got to be a little bit more hesitant so he doesn't get, you know, chipped into oblivion by Cade Stover here. And then you've got, you know, this guy can chip either way. So, you know, Jack Sawyer has to be careful, because if he just flies off the edge, you know, Mayan could come here and blow his rib cage up. So, you know, that happens a couple times, and you know, you're playing defensive end, you never want to play defensive end again. So, but again, like that's a nice pass protection scheme. I like what Mike Hall did there. I just had to point that out because again, I love seeing those little nuances of Why do you play Mike Hall at nose guard? That's why, because he can, when he does a move like that, he's immediately in the backfield and the play's over. The quarterback can't step up when there's A-gap pressure from a productive nose guard like Mike is. So, yeah, I think Kenyatta Jackson. So we're getting some Jack Sawyer, getting Kenyatta Jackson, getting Ty Hamilton, Denzel Burke. We're getting a bunch of guys. But a lot of Kenyatta people love Kenyatta Jackson. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see what we can get out of him. I know my South Florida guys love him and they think that he's a dog. So, again, this is, if there's ever a time where we need some juice off the edge on third down, like Kenyatta can step right in and do his thing. So, well, Nevada, who's your pick to break out on defense?
I'm gonna pick an oldie but a goodie, probably a name that you probably didn't expect, and I'm gonna go with Josh Pork Pie Proctor is my breakout player for the year. I think Josh is gonna have a big year. I think he's gonna come back and remind us why Knowles loved him so much last year in August, and remind us of those big hits that he used to make a couple of years ago. I like him a lot.
Can we really call him Pork Pie? Was it Pork Pie? Was that his name?
It was, yeah, Pork Pie.
R.I.P.
Pork Pie.
R.I.P. Pork Pie. Chimp Empire, baby. But yeah, like I said, these guys, when these guys go, man, these guys are going to be a problem. Like I think that our D line is good enough where they could carry us in some of these road games if they, because now there's no one blocking their snaps. There's no more Jerron Cage and Teron Vincent and Zach. These guys want to go pro, so it's going to be a big year for a lot of these guys. These guys all want to be 3-and-out, and they got to put up some more production than they did last year. So, but yeah, I'm excited to watch these guys. I think that it's going to be competitive for our O-line. I know one thing. I don't think our O-line is going to see a better D-line than what they see in practice. And that's not just hyperbole. I just think that, when you look at the amount of talent these guys have and how twitched up Mike and JT are, if you can block those guys on Saturday, you should be in really good shape just because they're just better than anybody else in the Big Ten. But yeah, it was a really good day today. Like I said, getting Tywone Malone, the portal stuff's been fantastic. I think our collectives are trying to start to figure it out a little bit. So it's just really good stuff right now. But Nevada, when does Carter come back? Jihad Carter, I think he's back already. I think he just had a minor injury. So, he missed some light stuff, but he was walking around at the spring game. So it wasn't like he was, in the infirmary or on crutches or whatever. Love the Predator Ohio State thing, by the way. That's great. I love the idea of the Rushman package. I'd put, if I did the Rushman package, I'd put JT at 3 tech. I'd put Mike Hall and JT on the inside and Jack and Kenyatta on the outside. I think JT is a fantastic 3 technique pass rusher. I think that'd be fantastic. So, but Nevada, you got any other final thoughts? We could wrap this one. We've had a really good show. A lot of people in here. Appreciate you guys all tuning in tonight. But like Tywone Malone is going to be a monster for us, and I'm really excited to see what he can add juice-wise to the program. But what are your thoughts, Nevada?
Look, if I'm going Rushman, I'm going to go unconventional, and I'm going to bring in a CJ Hicks or a Sonny Styles and rush those guys and try to see what they can do about getting to the quarterback. Because I think we've got plenty of guys that are big guys that can go and lock up and do their thing. What we're missing is those slippery guys that are, fast as heck and can bend around the corner and get to the quarterback and cause havoc. And, I keep talking about, Baron Browning and what an impact he's made in the NFL. But, why couldn't Sonny Styles be that guy? You're telling me Sonny Styles couldn't be Baron Browning on the college football field? I just think he would be an absolute wrecking ball in pass rushing situations. And I hope Ohio State deploys him.
Oh, I agree. It'd be interesting to see, Sonny's about 230 now. I'm sure he could run around tackles. Could he run through tackles? Is he going to be a one-trick pony? Does he have, what was his pass rush move set look like? Because again, when he's played mostly linebacker and safety, he's not asked to rush the passer. So sometimes it's a little tougher than just running around the guy. But last clip I'm going to show, because I really like this kid. I've talked about him ad nauseum. I think this is a kid that really needs to start to be in the mix and talked about more. My guy George Fitzpatrick here is going against Amari Abor. And Amari, he's okay. He's got some work to do, but this is a really nice pass set. Like, he gets out of his stance. Like, if you watch George here, he gets out, set up perfect. I love his hands. Like when I was watching the Armstrong twins at the Obits rivals camp, like their hands are kind of all over the place. This is the clip I would show them as to how to set with their hands. And this is a great set. And to me, this is a win. He widens them out, nice wide pocket. He runs the arc. This is a nice wide arc right here. And, the quarterback, he gets some pressure from the right side, but really this is a pretty good pocket. I mean, there's a little bit of, again, could this be a little better? Could this be a little bit more inside out here when Kenyatta Jackson's trying to work inside? Yeah. But I mean, this isn't a bad pocket. Like if you're an NFL quarterback, this is a fine pocket. You can throw it. But the way that George runs this arc here is perfect. Like that's like perfect pass protection. And Amari still doesn't get to the quarterback. The quarterback has to take off just because, he's a little skittish. Because if you're an NFL quarterback and you have this pocket, that's perfect. Aaron Rodgers is throwing a touchdown to Devontae Adams or Garrett Wilson or whoever. This is about as good as you get in the NFL. You don't get that big dream, gigantic pocket that you get in college when you're playing Indiana and you've got Paris and DeWand out there. So this is plenty good enough. The quarterback's not good enough. He's just skittish. But I think that's plenty. But again, I love Fitzpatrick. He's a guy that the more I watch him, the more I like him, the more that, if I was working with him, if I was Justin Fry, Mickey Marotti, just focus on his strength, man. Just keep getting that kid bigger and stronger. But his feet are excellent, and he's been really well coached because his technique is fantastic for a left tackle who's young. People right off. Again, he looks like Taylor Decker to me. I don't know if he's not as tall as Taylor. But again, that's a nice looking set. And Taylor, in 03, Taylor was a true sophomore and he started for us. Obviously had the Khalil Mack game, but after that, he was a fantastic player for us. So that's who he reminds me of. Again, he's not as tall as Taylor, but his set looks every bit as smooth, if not smoother than Taylor's did as a sophomore. So, like I said, the more I watch these guys and kind of nitpick them, the more I see, who has a real chance to contribute and be a good player in the future. And I think George Fitzpatrick's that guy. He's a guy that technique-wise, really, really nice. I mean, he's got really good feet, really well coached. And again, you can make guys stronger. Sometimes you can't get the guys to iron their technique out, but you watch this guy pass that, and I was like, this guy could play right tackle for us this year. He could play left tackle for us this year. Like, again, you're going to need at some point a third, fourth tackle in case someone gets dinged up or whatever. So, he's the guy that needs to be in the mix. I think him and Luke Montgomery, by the end of the year might be our two best pass blocking tackles just because I've watched their athleticism. I love their feet. But the biggest thing with those two is they just got to get stronger. They got to get bigger. They got to get stronger. They got to be firmer. But their feet are excellent. And I think their athleticism is excellent. So it's just a little bit of a gleaning I've gotten from watching probably too much film, but I love studying these guys so I can give you guys some really good intel on who looks good, who needs to get better, and really how they can get better. Because that's like the kind of the next level thing is to say, well, this is what this guy needs to improve on to become a better player for Ohio State. So that being said, Nevada, a great show. Any final thoughts for everyone that tuned in tonight? Appreciate all you guys, but any final thoughts?
No, just big day for Ohio State. Also with the the kid from San Diego State, Simmons, Mark Pantoni, if you're listening, we just need about 15 minutes with him. We can clean up his technique there over lunch or something like that, make him a much better player. And that's a kid that just needs to be coached up. If he's coached up even a little bit, could turn out to be a really good player for Ohio State and really be a nice contributor.
Totally agree. Yeah, I think he's got fantastic upside. Well, this was a good one. Appreciate you guys as always. Thank you guys. We're about to jump on BuckeyeScoop.com. If you guys love Ohio State and you are the biggest Ohio State supporters that you need to be on BuckeyeScoop.com. Been breaking stories nonstop. A lot of great intel coming in from the Woody Hayes. Summer conditioning is kicking off next week. The guys are off this week, so we will have all the coverage you could ever dream of about who's winning the wind sprints and who's looking good. So I hope you guys tune into us on BuckeyeScoop.com. Appreciate you guys tuning into the show. As always, if you could leave us a like, that is humongous. If you could click subscribe, send it to your friends, your coworkers, all your buddies, all your people that love Ohio State and love to support Ohio State football. We try to bring you guys the best, and we think we do a good job of it. So we appreciate you guys tuning in. So if you enjoy these live shows, make sure you click that little bell. It'll give you an alert every time we go live, so you'll never miss a show. Love interacting with you guys. Thank you for bringing such great questions, great comments. Again, I love reading your comments, and shout out where you guys are from. As always, love when you guys do that. So thank you guys so much. I appreciate you guys for tuning in tonight. If you enjoyed this and you want to keep the party going, check out BuckeyeScoop.com, because that's where me and Nevada are heading with Bill the Bank Greene. The Oracle's bringing some huge expansion stuff. So we got a really good source at the very top of the expansion game. So that's really fun to see it as all that breaks. So again, we appreciate you guys so much. So thank you so much, Buckeye Nation, and thank you, Scoop family. I will see you on BuckeyeScoop.com, the #1 source for Ohio State football information. Thank you guys as always. Have a great rest of your day, and go Bucks.